So I got dumped because I asked a man to pay for everything.
A few moments later.
I lost the guy that I loved and cared about to red pill content. Before he started watching this content, he was a sweet, nice man who treated me well and was charismatic, funny. And the moment he started watching this content, he completely changed. He became very, very angry almost all the time. And then eventually he ended things with me because he thought I was using him for money. But I still cared about him. I would drive 30 minutes every day to see him. Like, it wasn't just about the money. Because he's watching all this content, he thinks that all these women are trying to use him and all that stuff. And so he had a loving girl that cared about him and loved him and, like, would stick by his side through anything. And then he eventually said this to me, and this was the final straw.
And this is a perfect example of entitlement backfiring. She presents her situation as a romance story, but let's look at the facts logically. When he finally woke up and realized he was just a walking wallet, she couldn't handle it. So what's her excuse? She blames red pill content. She didn't get dumped for no reason. She got dumped for being entitled. She thought driving 30 minutes to see him was a huge sacrifice that made up for him bankrolling her entire life. The red pill didn't change him. It just opened his eyes to the terrible deal he was in. He didn't lose a loving girlfriend. He finally saw her for what she was, a liability.
Losing your girl because you became addicted to listening to men spew red-pilled rhetoric all day is actually one of the gayest things you could do as a man, next to actually dick riding a man.
What is going on with the way men are talking to women these days?
Oh, it's the red pill content, and it's now so officially widespread and unavoidable that whilst it was originally aimed at people in like their 20s and high school, middle school years, it's reached people in their 30s and 40s, and I want to talk about it today because I've started to notice it too. Although in fairness, it really started to pick up and gain traction around like 10 years ago, so males in their 20s are now in their 30s and approaching their 40s, and this is how you ruin entire generations and spans of males and dating for everyone. And if you're not familiar with red pill content, it's a lot of things now, but originally started as like male, like gym bro influencers trying to like teach beta males how to get women, but they would teach them all the wrong things so that they never actually got women and they would be continually reliant on their channels and they made money forever. But a huge problem with that, besides the fact that men are literally just keeping each other down, is that women also have to deal with the outcomes of this. Because it's teaching them to treat women like garbage, and apparently that's how you get girls, which obviously never works, and it became so prevalent that I literally gave up on dating a few years ago because it was so irritating to deal with such horrible little men.
She claims red pill content ruins men, but the truth is the exact opposite. It doesn't teach men to hate women. It enlightens them to the reality that blind simping kindness doesn't earn respect. Women consistently choose confident men who set boundaries over nice guys. The red pill just exposes this game. The real problem for her is that it works. It's teaching men to stop being doormats and to stop overinvesting in women who offer nothing in return. She's not mad about horrible men. She's mad about losing her leverage. Men are waking up and she's watching her pool of simps dry up.
I just went down the rabbit hole of red pill content, and it's so crazy because the men who watch red pill content, they all have this same outlook where even if abuse is happening in the relationship, usually they're the abusers, right? That you have to stick around and you're taking the easy way out by getting a divorce. The easy way out. That is the easy way out. And you know, people today, they can't stick it out and be strong and create a marriage that's strong. They can't get through the tough times. The thing they don't understand is this isn't tough times they're putting us through, a lot of these men. It's straight up abuse, okay? There is a difference between going through hard times in a marriage and going through abuse. There's a difference, but these guys who watch the red pill content, they don't understand that. They look at abuse as just going through hard times. No, you're being abusive. There is a huge difference. They don't get it. They don't get it. Just stick it out.
They say women end most marriages. They're correct. Women do. But do you want to know why? Because one, they have more choice now than they've ever had before. They're not punished as much as they were before, so that influences and skyrockets their ability to choose differently. Also, it's just not enough help in the home. Women are leaving marriages because they're not getting help in the home. That's the number one reason they report. And yet that goes against what they're teaching their audience is, they're there to serve you, they're there to cater to you, you're the king. If you have that mentality, expect to get divorced. It's not that women are unwilling to help in the home. Women aren't necessarily unwilling to help or cater to their partners. What they don't want to feel like is your servant. That's the difference.
A woman will leave a good, hard-working man because she's bored and thinks she can do better. She'll say she's not happy, but since I'm bored doesn't sound like a good reason, she has to come up with a better excuse. So suddenly, he's not helping enough around the house. He's emotionally unavailable. He makes her feel like a servant. It's a story she tells to justify blowing up her family to chase a feeling. And by the time she realizes the grass isn't greener, she's alone making TikToks about where all the good men have gone.
Long distance for a period of time. I went during the pandemic and I was staying with him in Vancouver and something changed. And you want to know what changed? He started watching podcasts like Fresh and Fit. He started listening to content about MGTOW and that man changed. And I would sit across from him and not understand the person that I was seeing. I felt like I was waking up to somebody that I did not know. I am qualified to talk about this shit. I am qualified to understand the repercussions that red pill content have on men, because the person that I wanted to spend my life with, the person I was in love with, the person I wanted to fucking marry changed overnight because of the content like that. And I see now the men who do watch that content, I hear the things that they say because I would listen to it. I actually started consuming that content because I wanted to understand what happened. To all the men who asked me that question, there's your answer.
Women are going to keep themselves bitter, broke, and angry because they are mad at men. And they have this movement called Decentering Men. I don't think that it's new, but it's definitely a movement that is catching more waves called Decentering Men, where basically women are saying that they are removing men from the center of their lives and they're not considering them. They don't care about them. They don't want to date them. They don't want to deal with them. They think that they're scary and all of this other dumb shit, because they think that men are a monolith, when in reality it's the culture a lot of times that keep you broke. And it also keeps you dating the same people that you don't want to take accountability for the person that you opened up your legs to and had a child with, and now you got the results, and certain men don't want to deal with you and you're not getting the results that your mother or your grandmother had, and now you want to blame them and saying that they were under duress. In reality, they were happy and they had strong families, and it translated into a strong economy and a great neighborhood, and we tore it up and we decided that we want to remove the family, and now we want to have children out of wedlock. And then they're using red pill as an excuse for why they want to be angry instead of dealing with their trauma. And for the people in the back, in which I don't consider myself at all, not even remotely, as a red pill content creator. I've been successfully married. I have majority women employees for over 20 years, successfully married for over 20 years. I majority employ women. I have a daughter that's awesome, and my wife is black, for everybody that keeps saying, hey, Anton, do you got a white wife? I don't. Red pill is just removing a veil from men's eyes to the reality of what they got to deal with in society, especially when it comes to relationships. It comes from the movie The Matrix, where the blue pill kept you in La La Land, where essentially you were given a perception of what reality is so that they can harvest you and use you as a battery. When in reality, if you took the red pill, if your mind was ready, it basically shows you that everything ain't all peaches and cream. This is the reality. It doesn't mean hate women. It doesn't mean that anybody is angry. And of course, there are going to be angry people, and I hate angry people on the far left or on the far right, whether it's politics or relationships. Anybody that's extremes in their view and not just talking about the reality and the truth, they're not good for society. But the reason why we're broken is because we don't have strong households. That is the number one way that you bring up community, and that you actually make sure that everybody and a dollar and strong people, and people go to college and they don't have debt and all of this stuff. But instead of us dealing with our trauma and dealing with the truth, we want to blame it on red pill. We want to blame it on a lot of different things. But one day you're going to wake up. One day you're going to wake up and you're going to say, you know what? All of these funky, evil people actually led me down the path of destruction. And instead of me holding myself accountable, instead of me being honest with who I am, I decided that I wanted to blame it on a whole nother group of people, and that don't necessarily translate. At some point, you have to take ownership and responsibility. And I'm not telling you that you got to go back to men, because men don't care. What I am telling you is that You don't want to wake up broke, angry, and hungry because you made the wrong decision of who it is that you wanted to follow.